There can only be one winner, and you're looking at him. Let's go.
New mini box Dimension of the Wizards is coming out today or is already out. This will be a quick review of what's good and what's not, and just generally what do these cards do. All right, we're starting this off with Madolches. We have two brand new Madolche cards at Super Rare, Madolche Hootcake and Super Rare Madolche. The last time we played Madolches was on YouTube. So this is a quick look at the deck. Do the new cards greatly improve this deck? Yes, and I would also play this deck much differently. Let's look into them. Starting with Hootcake. This is level 3, 1500 attack. If any of your Madolche monsters would be sent to the graveyard by being destroyed, they go back to your deck instead. So due to that, this skill is not as consistent as you would like it to be. It says you could target a monster in your graveyard, banish it, then you could special summon a Madolche monster from your deck. Well, to get around this restriction, we're going to play a skill called What Grows in the Graveyard. What Grows in the Graveyard is from Akiza. We all know it from being used with Junk Synchron, but instead we're going to use Dark Verger starting in the grave with our Hootcake. So just by it starting in the grave, immediately on turn 1, we could summon a Hootcake, banish the Dark Verger, and there we go. We are activating Hootcake to summon any Madolche from the deck. Now, what Madolches would we want to summon from the deck? If we search Madolche on the website, it's going to order every card that we currently have, and at the end, it will show us cards that we don't have. So everything from Bapple and up we do have or is coming up in the new box. There is two really good cards to summon with Hootcake by banishing your Dark Verger. You could summon Messengelato, 1600 attack. When special summon, you could add a Madolche spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So for example, you could Hootcake turn 1, banish your Verger, special summon a Messengelato, then Messengelato on special summon will search for the field spell. The field spell will give all of your Madolches 500 attack and defense, and also if anything happens to your Madolches, if they get sent to the grave, instead of going back into the deck, they go back to your hand. So that's a turn 1, 2000 attack, 2100 attack on the field turn 1. Another good summon with Hootcake is to banish your Dark Verger, then special summon a Pudding Sis. Pudding Sis is 1800 attack if there's no monsters in the graveyard, and also after damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, so if they attack into it or you attack with your Pudding Sis, you could target any card on the field and destroy it. Your Pudding Sis does not need to survive the battle, but it is level 5, and if you draw it and it's in your opening hand, you don't have a way to special summon it with your Hootcake, but instead, you do have a way to summon it through another Madolche card we'll play that is already in the game, which is Mewfile. Mewfile is special summon from the hand on summon. So Hootcake special summon from the deck, Mewfile summon from the hand. You could also potentially just tribute summon for it, and if you do tribute summon, your Madolche that you tribute for will not be sent back into the deck and can now be banished for the effect of Hootcake. So those are the two good monsters, Messengelato and Pudding Sis, to summon off Hootcake. Besides banishing a Dark Verger, we also could banish a Sphere Karibo. I played Madolches in the TCG, and when I played Madolches, I would play a bunch of hand traps. So Sphere Karibo is a perfect card to banish with Hootcake in addition to Dark Verger. Moving on to the other super rare, it's Madolche. Madolche, when this card is summoned, it must be normal or flip summon, so you cannot special summon it for its effect. You could add any Madolche monster from your deck to your hand. It could even add itself. So right away, I'm already thinking how spellbooks use Gravekeeper's Recruiter to recycle the Silent Magician. Now you could use Madolche just by itself. On summon, Madolche could search itself, then you could tribute for a Silent Magician. So that's a little extra benefit with your Madolche. But if we're talking about Madolches, on summon of Madolche, searching for Hootcake is a great target to get things going. You may even want to search for a Mewfile if you already have a Messengelato or a Pudding Sis in your hand and you want to set up through that way. So two very welcome additions to the deck. I will definitely be playing this on stream, and I will be playing it with the Dark Verger skill. Another idea is you could play Transcendent Crystals. Transcendent Crystals, immediately in your main phase, you could send any cards from your hand to the graveyard up to 3 to put Crystal Beast monsters from your deck onto the field in your spell and trap zone. I think that's going to be too much for the deck. I don't think there's enough room for it, but it is another way to immediately make a hoot cake available if you have a monster in your hand, you want to discard it. We also have Madolche Marmalade. Madolche Marmalade, when this card is flipped face up, you could target a Madolche spell and trap in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. I definitely do not like this at all, but the main targets you'll want to be adding will be Madolche Ticket or Madolche Chateau. Now, if we were to build new Madolches by the time the box comes out, I think the deck will use Hootcake, Mageline, Mewfile, Messengelato, maybe Cruffscent for returning face-up Madolche cards back to your hand to gain 300 attack. You will be using Ticket every time a Madolche is shuffled into your deck or hand. You get to search your deck for a Madolche. We also have the added benefit of Pudding Sis being on the field. Instead of searching for a monster with Ticket, it gets special summoned onto the field. We will be using Pudding Sis. We will be using the field spell. We might be using Madolche Knight. When a monster effect is activated, if you have no monsters in your graveyard, you can negate the activation. If you have a Pudding Sis on the field, you get to also shuffle a random card from your opponent's hand back into the deck. We may also be using Madolche Palooza. Special summon any number of Madolche monsters from your hand, but then shuffle them back into the deck during the end phase. Definitely excited for Madolches. Now we have Madolche Bapple. Once per turn, you could target it in attack position Madolche monster you control and one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls. If both monsters are still on the field, change them to face-up defense. If you do, the ones changed by this effect cannot have their battle positions changed until the end of your opponent's next turn. So I guess this is a good way to stall and deal with the card. You're going to normal summon this, target itself and your opponent's monster, put them into defense, and then you can't change their battle positions. I don't like this card at all, so I would definitely pass. Let's talk about psychics. We have an ultra rare psychic monster called Psychic Wielder. Psychic Wielder, level 3. It is a tuner. If you control a level 3 monster, you could special summon Psychic Wielder from your hand. So for example, if we have a Sangan on the field, or we just normal summon a Sangan turn 1, we could special summon Psychic Wielder to make an instant level 6 synchro. Also, when you make that synchro, your synchro monster will now essentially destroy any monster on the field with an attack lower than that synchro monster due to Psychic Wielder's effect doing so. So for quick example, we summon a Sangan, we then special summon Wielder by its effect, we then synchro into a Gaianite 2600 with no effect. You will now be destroying any card on the field with less than 2600 attack. And the funny thing about me using Sangan as an example is Sangan and Wielder will cause Wielder to be chain linked to when destroying a card on the field. So for example, if they were to have a Pinch Hopper, which obviously is not relevant, but any card that would miss the timing would miss the timing by being destroyed on chain link 2 or higher. So that is definite relevant future potential information. A good card to synchro with Psychic Wielder could be Psyhemoth. After damage calculation, when this card battles an opponent's monster, you banish that monster. Another good monster could be Psychic Nightmare. Once per turn, if you correctly declare a card in your opponent's hand, its card type, you gain 1000 attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Wielder is just such a versatile card. Not only do you want to think about using it with a level 3 monster, I like the idea of using Psychic Wielder with a card like Junk Synchron. Junk Synchron on summon, we could special summon a Dark Verger onto the field. Dark Verger plus Wielder can make a level 5 synchro, and then with the level 5 synchro, we could synchro a Junk Synchron into any level 8 synchro in the game, or we could just go into a Junk Destroyer, destroy a card on the field. That combo I just stated, we could go into an Armades with Wielder, which will destroy a face-up monster lower than 2300, and then by going into Junk Destroyer, we will destroy an additional card on the field. Definitely excited for Psychic Wielder. I don't know if I even want to classify it as a psychic card. It's just a great tuner. Now, Konami released another psychic that does seem to have synergy with Psychic Wielder. Psychic Tracker. It is a non-tuner. If you control a level 3 monster other than Psychic Tracker, you could special summon this card from your hand. You could only special summon Psychic Tracker once per turn this way. A synchro monster that used this card as material gains 600 attack. So whether you have Tracker on the field or Wielder, you could special summon the other part from your hand, and then you could synchro Shokan, for an example, into Gaia Knight. Gaia Knight will be 3200 attack due to Tracker, and then due to Wielder, Gaia Knight will be able to destroy any card in the field with less than 3200 attack. We also have Psychic Commander, a level 3 tuner. What this card does is during the damage step, you could pay up to 500 life points to make this a 1900 attack monster. I use this a lot in the TCG. This is just a great generic tuner that is, it's basically just a 1900 attack tuner. Now now we have Esper Girl. There are combos with Esper Girl. Esper Girl, level 2 tuner. When this remove from play card is special summoned, remove from play the top card of your deck face down. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add that removed card to your hand. So let's pay attention here. We have Serene Psychic Witch. When destroyed and sent to the graveyard, we could banish a psychic monster, then special summon it during our standby phase. So when Psychic Witch is destroyed, you could special summon it during your opponent's standby phase or yours, and you're going to be special summoning Esper Girl. Esper Girl will then banish the top card of your deck face down. Then we could normal summon Silent Psychic Wizard. When this card is normal summon, you could target your witch, banish it, and then with your wizard plus Esper Girl on the field, you could synchro Shokan into a level 6 synchro. For example, Gaia Knight. This will then trigger both of your effects. Your Esper Girl will add your banished card to your hand, and your Silent Psychic Wizard will also trigger to special summon the Serene Psychic Witch back onto the field. So I'm definitely excited for the cool combos with Esper Girl and Serene Psychic Witch. Now, besides Serene Psychic Witch, we also have Hushed Psychic Cleric, which can discard a card, then banish your Esper Girl. And if anything happens to your Cleric, if it's sent to the graveyard, you could then special summon your Esper Girl to then add whatever card you banish off the top of your deck. We also have a new Psychic type synchro. It is a generic synchro. It does not require a psychic monster to create it. It is level 7. Once per turn, you could remove from play one psychic from your graveyard to gain 1200 life, 2400. So while the requirements to make it does not require a psychic, you're going to want psychics in the graveyard in order to use its effect. Now we have Telekinetic Charging Cell. Equip only to a psychic type monster. You do not have to pay life points to activate its effects. When the equipped monster is destroyed, this card is sent to the graveyard. You can pay 1,000 to return this card to your hand. I do not think that this card is good. Past Image. If you control a face-up psychic type monster, target one monster your opponent controls, banish it. During the next standby phase, it returns to the opponent's side of the field in the same battle position. So this is interesting that you could banish whenever you want, but I really do not like that it requires a psychic type monster in the field and that their monster also returns to the field. Now we have Mental Seeker, level 3 psychic tuner. When this card is removed from play and special summoned, reveal the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Choose one of those cards and remove it from play, then shuffle the others into the deck. Really not good compared to Esper Girl. Psychic Feel Zone. Select 2 of your remove from play monsters, one psychic tuner and a non-tuner. Return them to the graveyard and special summon one psychic type synchro from your extra deck and face-up defense whose level equals the total levels of the returned monsters. If this was a quick play and or did not summon it in defense, I would definitely see a lot of potential with this. Otherwise, this looks like garbage. Now we're going to talk about spell counter cards, starting with the ultra rare Arcanite Magician. I use this so much in the TCG. It is 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner spellcaster type monsters. So let's think about a good way to make this. I'm already thinking Breaker the Magical Warrior, level 4 spellcaster, great card. Combined with Junk Synchron, level 3 tuner, great card. So 3 plus 4 non-tuner spellcaster. What does it do? On summon, it will gain 2 spell counters, making it 2400 attack. You could remove 1 spell counter from your field, then target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy that target. So you could choose to remove counters off of Arcanite Magician itself, or you could even remove a spell counter off your Breaker the Magical Warrior, destroy any card on the field. A big thing to note here is it does not have a maximum amount of spell counters it can have, and every spell counter it has, it gains 1000 attack. Now remember, you do lose its attack if you remove the spell counter off itself. You can destroy 2 cards on the field just by itself. A super cool card to combo Arcanite Magician with is Mythical Bestiary. Mythical Bestiary. Send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, then target 1 face-up card in the field that you could place a spell counter on. Place up to 2 spell counters on it. If this card and its owner possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you could special summon 1 monster from your deck that can place a spell counter on, and if you do, place up to 2 spell counters on it. So if they have, for example, a Reactor Dragon, which is a very popular card, Reactor Dragon swings in, destroys your face down mythical, you could then special summon a Breaker the Magical Warrior, and when it's special summon, you get to place a spell counter on it. Only 1 because it can only hold 1. But what I love about this card is it being quick play and being able to place counters on Arcanite Magician. If they attack into your Arcanite Magician, you could quickly gain 2000 attack onto your Arcanite Magician and also destroy up to 2 cards on the field. You could special summon an Arcanite Magician, play mythical on it, and it goes up to 4,400 attack and can destroy up to 4 cards on the field. If that's not a YouTube moment, then I do not know what is. Now we have the super rare Defender, the Magical Knight. If this card is normal, someone plays a spell counter on it. Once per turn, if a spellcaster type monster on the field will be destroyed, you can remove 1 spell counter from your side of the field for each of those monsters instead. 1,600 attack, 2,000 defense. Now this would be tough for me to play a Breaker instead of Defender, but why not play both? This is already setting up to be a Silent Magician type deck, maybe with Breaker the Magical Warrior, Defender, both being spellcasters, and then we could tribute either for Silent Magician. Now if we search spell counter into the Duel Links meta website, it's going to show us all cards with spell counter in its name. Spell Power Grasp, you could target 1 face-up card in the field that you could place a spell counter on, place 1 spell counter on it, and then you could add another Spell Power Grasp from your deck to your hand. So this could be a decent way to add spell counters onto your Breaker and your Arcanite Magician, in addition to using Mythical Bestiary. Another spell counter synchro from this set is Explosive Magician, not level 7, it is level 6. 2,500, you could remove 2 spell counters from your side of the field to destroy 1 spell or trap your opponent controls. The unfortunate thing about this is on summon, it does not gain spell counters. You're gonna have to combo it with another card. And also a big downside to this is you cannot use Mythical Bestiary onto it because nowhere does it say that you could put spell counters on this card. Power of the Guardians. If an attack is declared involving the equipped monster, place 1 spell counter on this card. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell counter on this card. If the equipped monster would be destroyed, you could remove a spell counter instead. Not a big fan of this card. Arcane Barrier. Each time a spellcaster type monster on the field is destroyed face up, place 1 spell counter on this card, max 4. You could send this card and 1 face up spellcaster you control to the graveyard, draw 1 card for each spell counter that was on this card. Do not like Arcane Barrier. And that's it for part 1 of the review. I'm going to be posting part 2 of the review later today. It's going to include Golden Castle of Stromberg, which is an incredibly complex card. So many combos with this. Also, we're going to be talking about Millennium Eyes Restrict, a new way to play Relinquished, Elemental Hero Dark, Dimensional Prison, and a huge boost to Karakuris. Can't forget about Rocket Hand either. So I'll see you in the second part of the video.